What does it take to make a knife worth $2,300? Is it the hours, the materials, the techniques, or all of it combined? Today we're going to find out because this is the most expensive knife ever reviewed on this channel. Today we're heading to France to meet knife maker Silvain Dixneuf, a smith who prides himself on stonework and fully handcrafted blades. He sent this in, but the question is, does it actually live up to the price? Let's find out, but first, let's meet Silvain.
Salut à tous, je suis Silvain Dixneuf alias Shibui Kitchen Tool. Je suis coutelier forgeron depuis une dizaine d'années. Mon atelier est basé en France, en Savoie exactement. Ma méthode de travail est plutôt simple et traditionnelle. Je fabrique des oniaki, des sandmailles, biseau-bas ou full polish, mais toujours façonnés puis polis à la pierre. Mes tarifs varient entre 200 et 2500 € en fonction des pièces et des matériaux utilisés. Vous pouvez trouver mon travail sur les réseaux sociaux, Facebook ou Instagram, avec Shibui Kitchen Tool. Bienvenue dans mon monde, je vous remercie.
Alright, time to unbox, but quick note, what you're seeing on screen right now is the knife before it got to me. Canadian Customs held this thing for almost 2 weeks, opened the box, and now we've got a rust spot that wasn't there and the Damascus lost a bit of its pop. I'm telling you this so that we can keep this in mind later because the knife has seen things. Now this is how you present a premium knife, a handmade kiri box. Beautiful dovetails, magnetic sliding lid with that little lip detail, super clean. And the handle, Arizona ironwood, my first one, and wow. The figure's absolutely insane. Beautifully shaped wah handle, great polish on the handle, and a darkened stainless ferrule spacer that just screams museum piece. I could honestly stare at this all day. Alright, blade reveal. And immediately, yeah, that rust spot. That rust spot, again, not Silvain's fault, but still unfortunate. Now the Damascus, it's subtle. Tight pattern, low contrast, but there's the soft blue grain tone that plays nicely with the core steel. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of the Shigefusa Kiteiji style. Very understated, very quiet. Choil shot, dreamy, rounded spine, rounded choil, super comfortable. There is a small pit mark, but we'll come back to that. Overall, this knife has pizzazz. Not loud, but maybe a little too quiet. I don't want the amp, cranked up to 11, but give me an 8. You can also tell this is handmade Damascus. You see slight irregularities. Some areas creeping into the core, others disappearing entirely. Honestly, I kind of like that. It feels a little ethereal. But my favorite part, the profile. This thing looks like it just wants to work. So let's get to it. When I asked Silvain what to cut first, he said, start with meat, with a French accent of course. Get it hot, bothered, build that blue patina. Then potato for food release and onion for tip work. We didn't have much red meat ready, so potato it is. And this was a big one, but honestly, really enjoyable. Nice polished edge, good food release, and plenty of blade height. It didn't feel short at all in terms of blade height. Even slicing skin side, easy work. Now the onion. This is where things got interesting. At first, fine, but as it got denser, the knife started sticking towards the middle of the onion. Hard, especially on horizontal cuts, which is weird, right? Thin knife, convex grind, polished edge, so why the drag? My theory, the polish. Even though it's convex, it's still a thin knife, so the convexity is pretty subtle. Add moisture on highly polished bevels and you get suction. Basically, too smooth for its own good. Now the meat. First cut. Not confidence inspiring. To be fair, I put a serious crust on that steak. After that first cut, I adjusted, sliced properly, and yeah, much better. And the patina, exactly what Silvain wanted. Deep, rich blues wherever the meat touched it. That part was absolutely awesome. Now, why do I always try to rock chop? I hate rock chopping. I just don't get it. I'm push cut gang till I die. But yes, it can rock chop if you're into that and if ever you were wondering. The carrot wedge test. Honestly, really good. But I noticed something. Right around the middle of the blade, more drag, more resistance. Could be slight thickness variation, could be convexity inconsistency. Or I'm just being picky. Honestly, probably both. Yes, this ginger looks questionable. No, we don't waste food here. Still some drag, but manageable. And something interesting, the Damascus almost disappears. Even on camera, it's like invisible ink. Then the patina kicks in and completely takes over visually, for the most part. Again, very Shigefusa Kiteiji vibes, subtle to the point of vanishing. With garlic, similar story to onion, more drag towards the center of the blade, but still great edge for fine work. Comment j'ai pu oublier d'enregistrer un passage sur le cœur de bœuf? Silvain en a mis plein son cœur pour ce couteau, alors j'ai décidé de l'honorer en coupant, eh bien, du cœur. Il a fabriqué son propre damasque, dépensé 25 heures sur le polissage et c'est évident qu'il adore ce qu'il fait. Alors j'ai voulu le respecter en enregistrant ce segment à couper le cœur. I very much appreciate the effort Silvain has put into this blade. And yes, don't you worry, I'm gonna clean it before I eat it. Now, I already knew a 3K edge is not cutting a cherry tomato well, but I just had to try. Clean edge, yes. Toothy enough, no. So, we fixed that. Dropped it to a 1K edge with a shafting glass 1K. My go-to. Quick burr formation. Quick deburr, leather strop, done. I always say any edge can be made sharp. Performance issues related to bevel geometry, type of grind, polish, not an easy fix for the end user. And now, yeah, paper thin tomato slices. Night and day difference. Tomato sandwich, anyone? Also, fully convex knives are trickier to sharpen. You've got to rock the angle slightly, which I probably didn't do perfectly, but still fantastic to the edge. And it can still slice an Asian pear well. Alright, your favorite part likely, the nitpicks. The main one, inconsistency. Because here's the thing. Some parts of this knife are absolutely incredible. Kiri box, amazing. Handle, stunning. Profile, perfect. But then, the Damascus, it just falls a little flat. Too subtle, not enough contrast. Even accounting for customs oxidation, it still lacks pop. And then small things, slight grind inconsistencies, that sticky midsection, uneven polish in places, and that pit mark. At this price, those things matter. Now, speaking of price, let's talk price, because it's not as crazy as it sounds. This knife took about 50 hours to make. Let's say he wants to reward himself with a salary of 20 euros an hour. That's $1,000 in labor alone. Now add materials. Homemade, forge-welded Damascus steel, ironwood handle, kiri box. Suddenly, 1,500 euros or 2,300 Canadian doesn't look insane. He's not overcharging. He's barely making margin, which is why I'm being picky. At this level, everything needs to be dialed in. Who is this for? Honestly, someone who values the romance. Fully handmade, hand-forged Damascus, hand-shaped bevels, 25 hours of polishing. That is rare. But if it were me, I'd want this in a mono steel version. Same craftsmanship, better performance value. The patina still slaps, but I don't need to look for the Damascus because yes, performance can improve, cladding can be improved, but I genuinely think Silvain is capable of that. He's showing me that he is a fantastic artisan. So please, keep an eye on him, follow his work because this is close. Silvain, you broke a record. Most expensive knife on the channel. I hope this helps. And one big suggestion. I'd love to see a blade like this in the hands of Steve Joyce from Rock Chop. A Damascus blade I'm talking about. I think there's even more potential with what Steve can bring out of this. Guys, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.